thing is the economy. Is that the most dangerous thing? And actually, um, it is very, very dangerous. Everybody that knows anything at all about financing knows that we're on the brink of disaster, that we are almost in bondage to China and our enemies. We have been just totally asleep or somehow premeditatedly allowed us to go on and on and on, depending upon those that are committed to our destruction for our oil. And there's nothing that affects the economy any more than the high price of fuel, of gas, and the taxation. There are 4 or 5 major states that have lost huge chunks of their population just because they had to move out of the state because of the high taxes. Just could not afford any longer. It's absolutely dumb to stay in a state with a business whenever your taxes get so high that you can't turn a profit, when other states are saying, we'll give you land, we'll let you come here, and there's no income taxes, and the taxes are business friendly. So when we have a president and a Congress that has no restraint at all, then we certainly have great danger. And I think there's something we can do about that. And I think that we've seen other Americans the last 3 or 4 months that have begun to say, no, we do not want that kind of government. We do not want socialism. We want free enterprise. We want liberty. We want to get the government out of our lives. And 3 states have radically changed because the people said no, no more. And so there is something we can do about that. And that is to become involved. Most of us are passive when it comes to politics. We may talk a good fight, but a lot of us don't put our money where our mouth is, and our feet where we say what we believe. And I appreciate Sister Allison and Brother Allison because they're certainly not that way. And it's good to have fellowship with them. But I think the greatest danger that we face is from the judgment hand of God because of our lack of involvement in stopping the shedding of innocent blood. And so I am indebted to a lady. I think we have some very fine Christian women in our church here, and I admire several just absolutely count it as a real blessing that I know them. But here on the back page of number 8, I believe it's 8, there's a woman who's named Peggy Bull. Peggy Bull. And here's a woman that, a little about her background. When she was born as a little baby, she was born into a home of atheists. And then they changed a little bit and believed in deists, but did not believe in a true and living God. And so that was her training. And then she naturally was pro-choice and had an indignation toward other people who different. She thought it was her own business. And then she began to learn, and God then allowed her either, I don't quite remember whether she aborted her baby or wasn't aborting, but some way or another she lost a baby. And this caused this dear woman to lose her mind. She went into a mental institution. And she had 28 shock treatments. Now, I don't know if you know what a shock treatment is or not, When I was in Sacramento, I went to a state hospital and had a shock treatment. No, no, no. I was taught there by the psychiatrist, and they had a state, and we took our advanced students up there to get clinic experience and work with people who are mentally unstable or lost the ability to reason, and tried to help bring them back over. And so there, that hospital had a method, extreme method, of giving electrical shocks, and that really does a lot to this lady had 28, and then little by little she regained her health, and now she is, you can read, this is one of the best outlines I've ever seen. And she came by our booth there in, where we had our booth there in the Hyatt Regency Hotel near Capitol Hill, and just someone that was just totally like an evangelist, just really doing what she could to help alert people. And so this is her outline, and I want you to look, please, on page number 1. Just look at it. It says, to the Christian America. If you're a Christian, then you ought to get one of these and consider it. And so, God's heart on innocent blood in our land. The blood cries out. And that's one of the things, whenever Cain killed Abel, God said, thy brother's blood cries out. Years, even now in the Bible, said Abel, though he's dead, yet he speaketh. And we find that a little later on, a man may have accidentally killed someone. And if we just read the severe penalty that God gave Cain, just absolute banishment, marked him, and did everything to draw attention and focus on him that had shed innocent blood. And then we have after the flood, I was going to say a man killed someone, and he is hysterical. You just read it. He had 2 wives. He went in to his 2 wives in the 9th chapter of Genesis and was beside himself because he had killed someone, and he knew that God was going to avenge that person's blood. They were so near to the beginning, and this man evidently knew all about what God did to Cain. And then in the 9th chapter of the book of Genesis, verse 6, it says, whoever sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. And I've always took that and understood that to mean that God's word teaches capital punishment. But I never did see the motive and the reason for capital punishment. I just said, I read it one day, and I already believed it. My parents believed it. American justice, all the way back to the very beginning of this country, believed it. It was nothing that I had to study about, but when I finally got to studying, it says, because man is made in the image of God. Well, what's that mean? We're eternal. God's from everlasting to everlasting. When he created you as a never-dying soul. There's not a person here in this room or in the state of New Mexico or in the world, but what won't go on and on and on. When they come to life, at the end of their life, their body is releases the spirit, and it goes out into eternity. That spirit will exist, that person will exist forever. And here's literally what God is saying. He's saying that anyone that takes a man's life